r/AskReddit. What was your most horrifying moment in school? It was the first day of school and I was just starting first grade. I was in a brand new school and I didn't know anybody, so I was really scared. About halfway through the day, I had to go to the bathroom. For some reason, even though my teacher was a really nice lady, I was afraid she was going to say I couldn't go to the bathroom. So I sat there and held my pee for as long as my little 6-year-old bladder would allow me to, which was about 3 minutes probably. Eventually I could not hold it in anymore and I pissed my pants. It got on the floor and went under my desk. Somehow, no one noticed that there was dripping water coming from underneath my chair, so I sat there with my wet pants for a good 20 minutes. Eventually the girl behind me raises her hand and I hear her say, "MRS. Teacher, I have water under my desk." At this point I think I'm screwed and the teacher is going to call me out for pissing my pants and everyone is going to know and I'm never going to have any friends. But luckily the teacher said she would take care of it later, and then after the school day was over she called me up to her desk and says, "etc. Did you go to the bathroom in your pants?" And at that point I just started crying because I was so embarrassed. The teacher was really nice about it though, and she told me that it's okay and that it happens to everyone sometimes. We made an agreement from that point on that every time I got up and went to the bathroom to do my business, she would give me a Skittle. So it all worked out in the end. TLDR, pissed my pants during school when I was 6. Doesn't matter, got Skittles. Oh boy. Kindergarten, probably the first week or so. I asked to use the bathroom. The girls' room has someone in it, so my teacher says to use the boys' room. It was single occupancy. So I walk in and I see this new contraption there. I think to myself, well, that's a different kind of toilet, but it looks like fun. I drop my pants and hop up onto this bad boy and commence taking a dump. I forgot to lock the door. Hey, it was the boys' room. I was too distracted by being allowed into the boys' bathroom, and one of the other boys walks in and starts shouting to the class about how I pooped in the urinal. In 6th grade I went to the Bahamas with my parents for a winter vacation. On the beaches down there, women walk around and try to sell things, particularly hair braiding. I decided that getting my hair braided would be kind of cool, so I did. When we got back to the States, I decided to keep my braided hair, complete with green and white beads, for my first day back at school. I am a white male. It was one of the worst decisions of my adolescent life. May have wrote this before, I forget. Was in the 2nd grade, maybe 3rd, it's all kind of vague. I'm from the middle of nowhere, Texas, and we had barely enough kids for 2 classes of 14ish kids. So the 2nd grade teachers' rooms are connected by bathrooms between them. Teacher A equals bathroom equals teacher B. The bathrooms consists of 2 toilets, no urinals. There are 2 connections between the room, 1 boy and 1 girls. I don't know if this was common for small shitty schoolhouses back in the day, but it's how our podunk school was built. So, I went to drop a deuce. These didn't have locks, I guess because we were little kids, I don't know. Anyway, unbeknownst to me we are about to watch a movie, Teacher B's room. That's awesome, except she forgot I was in there, and had the kids line up single file to walk to the other classroom. So pretty much what happened was, I'm pooping and all the kids are walking through single file pointing at me and laughing, saying "H-A-H-A-A-A, he's poo-upping." Chewing on red pen, it exploded. Desperate to get rid of disgusting taste, I ran up to teacher. She thought it was blood, started freaking the frick out. Called nurse up, ignoring my attempts to explain it was just ink. Couldn't talk coherently because my mouth was filled with bitter red liquid. Red ink saliva dribbling out my mouth, desperate not to swallow it. Tried to run out of classroom to water fountain. Teacher practically tackled me to stop me. Thought I'd gone crazy, bit my tongue off and was a danger to others. No one seemed to understand that it was just freaking ink. Eventually had mental evaluation, even after it was clear that there were no injuries and I could explain, no, really, my pen exploded. It didn't happen to me, but it was still horrifying to be a witness. I went on this sort of retreat integration day when I was in 5th grade with my class. We were getting some lecture in this tiny classroom and the teacher left for a few minutes to talk to someone outside. Cue all 20 kids going crazy, starting jumping up and down and just being kids. One of the girls decides at some point to go up to the dry erase board and erase whatever the teacher had written there, just to be annoying. Because it was the 5th grade and we were all super short, she had to jump up and down to reach whatever it was she was erasing. Out of nowhere we hear a scream and the girl looks down to her stomach. You know how come of those boards have the holder for the eraser? This one had a metal one, and pretty sharp at that. The girl sliced her stomach open when she jumped up. I just remember looking at her and looking at her open stomach and feeling like throwing up. All the kids start freaking out even more while she collapses to the floor and the teacher comes back and immediately grabs, edit, brags the girl is not a term I made up, the girl, takes her outside, and calls 911. She ended up being fine, had to go into the ER and got a bunch of stitches, but that's the first time I realized what was inside the human body. And it was terrifying. I have been a stutterer for my entire life. I'm not stammering over every word, but I do stutter more than the average person. As a youngster, I also got frequent headaches. My mother eventually left a bottle of Advil in the school office 4 times when I developed a headache during the school day. My routine was simple. Whenever a headache was coming on, I would ask to go to the office and I would be allowed to go for my Advil. In 3rd grade, this routine happened maybe once a week. No big deal. I always went quickly and came back as soon as I got my pill. My teacher, Ms. Cuntface, however, decided one day that she knew better than my mother, the nurse, etc. The occurrence went something like this. During a lesson, me, head down, waiting for a good moment to ask for permission to leave the room, Ms. Cuntface, Argonian, why is your head down and why aren't you participating in class? Me, I have a headache. May I go to the office for a dose of Advil? Ms. Cuntface, you know, Argonian, I don't think you should go. Taking Advil is very bad for you and your kidneys liver will fail if you keep taking it. Class continues, and I put my head back down. A few minutes pass. Ms. Cuntface, blah blah blah, insert random question, does anyone have an answer, pauses. Well, Argonian, what do you think the answer is? Me, I don't know. Ms. Cuntface, extremely condescendingly, well, I don't know is not the answer. Basically, I was mortified. Not only had she made me suffer through my headache, but she also mocked 9-year-old me for my stuttering in front of the whole class. Long story short, my mom flipped shit the next day on the teacher and the principal. Several students ended up leaving the private Catholic school for similar acts of patronization, and the teacher was gone the following year. I heard later that she had begun working with kids who had special needs disabilities or something similar. The thought of her working with those people makes me sick. This story actually takes place the day after a dance, but at a 6th grade dance I ended up dancing with the hottest girl in school. She wanted to dance close, but being a shy kid, I decided I would keep my distance. The next day on Instant Messenger she asked me why I wouldn't dance closer to her. To this day I do not know why I said this, but my response was, because I had a really big boner. I never talked to her again. 3rd grade at pay we were doing new exercises and it came time for the sit-ups. Coach Smith paired me up with this Latino girl I had a mad crush on and we were to show the class how to do a sit-up. She was to hold my legs while I did the sit-ups and count. Afterward I was to hold her legs down while she did the sit-ups. It was going to be awesome. My time came to do the sit-ups. At the 5th sit-up, I cut the hugest tootist fart I had ever done. The whole class laughed at me, and then tried to imitate what I had done. She jumped back and ran away screaming. I cried. Coach ended pay class early that day. Lesson learned: never fart in public. It's tough to pick, but here's mine. In 3rd grade I had a birthday. Now, I was a pretty excited dude. I loved attention, and birthdays were one of those days where I wanted everyone to be happy for me. I went to school acting enthusiastic as ever. Unfortunately, my teacher was feeling crappy. I'm not sure why, because she was normally energetic and happy too. but for the first couple hours she was moody and snapped at the students. This included me. I was constantly trying to answer every question while we were learning multiplication, and I was getting them wrong, and I imagine that she was on her last nerve. Well, we went to quiet work, and I had not received any praise for my birthday yet. This bothered me, because every birthday student got a song and cheer at the beginning, and I didn't want to miss mine. I wanted this moment, so while we were working I walked up to the teacher. She looked even angrier than before, and without looking up at me, she grunted. What? Confused, but not deterred, I boldly stated, "Just so you know, it's my birthday." Now, what I expected from this was her cheerful doting and beginning of the birthday cheer, but that wasn't my fate that day. At that point, she looked at me with the angriest eyes I ever saw in her, and shouted, "I don't care. Nobody cares that it's your birthday." This was still in silent time, so the entire class looked up in fright. I strangely didn't cry. I was normally a crybaby, but I did pout, and without a word I returned to my desk and didn't talk for the rest of the day. In 9th grade, our high school track coach told us to practice sprints on the school's driveway. We would start near the road and sprint its 200 m length. While we are congregated near the road, and I am waiting for my turn to go, a senior depots me, underwear and all, in front of the team, all nearby traffic, and the girls' cross-country team, who, unfortunately for me, was running by. I wasn't feeling too well in math class during my freshman year of high school. I asked the teacher if I could go to the restroom because it felt like I was going to hurl. I get halfway to the restroom and I end up throwing up all over the hallway floor, in front of a class full of students. The next year in sophomore English we had to write about a memorable experience, and one of the kids in my class wrote about seeing it happen from the classroom I threw up in front of. For a few years growing up I lived in a really small town, and the elementary school, middle school, and high school were all in the same building. When the high school kids had their homecoming spirit week, the entire school participated. Every day of the week student would dress up in some themed outfit, nerd day, twin day, etc. The first day was pajama day. I was 6 years old, in the first grade, and painfully uncool. Like, even for a first grader. Admittedly, I did it to myself. I was the teacher's aide, and a total goody to shoes. Also, my giant bug eyeglasses, tinted blue, which I thought was awesome, only added to the list of things for which I was constantly teased. But pajama day was going to change all that. See, I had this super sweet purple onishi, complete with footies, that either would really push me over the edge, popularity wise. People would see me in it and think, man, that chick is so cool. Purple onesies are obviously the height of fashion. This may be the time to mention that I was a chronic bedwetter as a child. And the thing about being a bedwetter is, you're embarrassed and don't want anyone to know about it, even your parents. So you learn to do your own laundry really early. You hide the soiled sheets clothes until you can and conspicuously wash them yourself. But sometimes this leads to confusion. Woke up that day full of anxious excitement. Suited up in my PJs, got on the bus and rode to school. Exiting the bus, two girls in front of me make a comment about the stench of cat pee, and that's when the panic starts to set in. Had I grabbed from the wrong pile of clothes? Forgotten to wash? Hurriedly I dashed to the bathroom, locked myself in a stall, removed the offending garment and had a sniff. What have I done? How did I not notice the overwhelming scent sooner? Should I try and wash in the sink? That won't work, no air dryers. Call my mom for a change of clothes? No way, don't want her to be disappointed in me. Apparently going the whole day in pea clothes was preferable to parental judgment. So I left the bathroom, resolved to suck it up and tough it out. And then I look around at the other students. No one is wearing pajamas. It is clearly not pajama day, or any other day of Spirit Week, as I got the dates wrong, the entire week. And there I am, in my urine-soaked purple onishi on a regular old Monday TLDR. I wore a urine-soaked purple onishi to school for an entire day. Thank you for watching today's episode of r/AskReddit. If you have any similar stories, feel free to share them in the comments section. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button on your way out. Until next time, goodbye.